If you've survived narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, or really any form of chronic stress, you may wonder why you can face and stand up to huge crises, yet feel completely paralyzed by everyday tasks and to-do lists. There's a reason. The trauma you've experienced has hijacked your executive functioning. And today I'm going to explain what's happening in your brain and offer you some practical strategies and support to get your executive functioning back online. Welcome. I'm Sybil Cummin. I am the creator of Rising Beyond Power and Control and the Rising Beyond podcast, supporting survivors of domestic violence, coercive control, and other forms of trauma. So, what is happening in your brain? So, first, what is executive functioning? What am I even talking about? That is things like planning, organization, decision making, focus, basically being able to get through that to-do list of things like cleaning or sending things to your attorney or organizing documentation. And chronic trauma and coercive control keeps the brain in survival mode. So that is your fight, flight, freeze. And that suppresses these skills. So when your amygdala, which is all inside your brain, right? Here's your brain, it's inside your brain. When it is having to look for signs of danger and it is hypervigilant, the prefrontal cortex, or the area of your executive functioning, goes offline, because those things like laundry are not actually important to your survival. And so it is not weakness. It is not you being lazy that you're having a hard time getting through that to-do list. It's your nervous system doing its job. And sometimes it's doing its job too well for too long. So when it shows up, when you are safe, and it is still preventing you from getting things done, that's what we've got to work on. So, what are some of the common challenges that survivors that I work with face? So, number one, they really have a hard time starting tasks that they're not really fearful of the task, but they're fearful of how it is going to make them feel. So just getting started, just getting like activated, that activation energy is really difficult. Sometimes they're losing track of time, losing track of appointments and things in their schedule. So if it's not written down, and even sometimes if it is written down, it's hard for them to kind of stay on track with that. So many have shared with me that they experience kind of like a brain fog, feeling really scattered. And because of that, they are so self-critical and beating themselves up around that. So if that is you, we're going to hopefully give you some grace by understanding this and then some tools to help you. So another thing that might be really difficult for you is breaking down the big tasks. So your attorney sends you an email stating that they need all of your communications with your ex-partner for the last year and a half. Oh my gosh. That sounds, first of all, horrible and ridiculously triggering. So you're going to probably have trouble starting that task because the fear of how you're going to feel rereading those and going through them is big, right? And so it's really important to be able to break that down into different pieces, right? I need all of your documentation from. Okay, well, which pieces of documentation are important? How can we break the task down to help? And then shame and being self-critical makes it worse. Because as opposed to feeling confident, feeling like you have agency, feeling like you can get things done, you are putting yourself in a space of feeling like there's something wrong with you, that you're broken, there must be something broken, no wonder, dot, dot, dot. And so that often makes it worse. So what are the things you can actually do to help get your executive function and frontal cortex back online? So the first thing is to regulate your nervous system. Because if that amygdala is sensing danger, it is going to be really hard to get that nervous system to calm down and get your executive function back on track. So you can do this by simple breathing activities, different grounding activities, or if you notice yourself in fight or flight, movement can be really helpful. So anything you can do to signal safety to your lizard brain, your nervous system, that you are not in current danger, that is going to help you slow things down and get that frontal cortex back on track. So taking those deep breaths where your exhale is longer than your inhale can help tell your nervous system, no, we're not in danger right now. So another thing you can do is just take one tiny step. So lowering the bar, which if you're a people pleaser, you're a perfectionist, again, a lot of that is coming from survival spaces that has helped keep you safe. But if you can lower the bar and give yourself permission to lower the bar, focus on just starting, not finishing. Instead of all or nothing, think of all or something. So what external supports can you use? So I'm talking about planners, sticky notes, phone alarms, timers, an accountability buddy. What do you need? Maybe body doubling, so that's someone that shows up in some way with you and there's nothing you're doing except for you're getting stuff done. What external supports do you think would help you? For me, who does have executive functioning issues, the timer on my phone and lists are ridiculously helpful for me. And then this one is not talked about enough. If you've experienced trauma, then it is likely that you have less spoons. What do I mean by that? Or that certain activities take more spoons. So certain activities are going to take more of your energy, your emotional energy, your physical energy than when you are not in a state of trauma. So you may not get 8 things done from your to-do list. So prioritizing just the 1 or 2 tasks that need to happen this day will help because you will probably have the energy for 1 or 2 tasks versus looking at the 8 tasks and trying to get all of them done. Guess what? Shame's going to pop back in if you're focused on getting all the way done. And then if you're really struggling, there is specific therapy for domestic violence, for trauma processing, and for executive functioning concerns. There are so many things that you can do. The more you practice, the more these skills will come back. So as you teach your nervous system that you are not always in danger, even if it feels like it right now, you will start to see some changes. It is not permanent. You deserve support. So if you are needing some validation, some strategy, check out the Rising Beyond podcast, check out my other YouTube videos, and I hope this was helpful.